Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris, and in this video, I'm going to fix an area of my shop that I am extremely embarrassed about, and I'm going to show it to you right now. It's right down there, so let's go. You know, I'm really still enjoying this French cleat wall very much, except for this monstrosity right here. This was a hand tool kind of holder. When I take this all apart, I'll be able to show you exactly what this was. And I do like the ratchet storage that progressively gets larger or smaller depending on which way you go. But this right here is hugely embarrassing. When I need a screwdriver or a pair of pliers or a pair of scissors, you name it, I got a fish for it in here, and it's time to make this change. So let's empty this out, see what I got, and go from there. Well, as I take this thing off the wall, it's so overloaded, you can see some tools actually just fell out the back of it. But I am so glad I'm getting this done. I've been wanting to do this for years actually, and finally, now's the time. So I'm about to explain more about that tool holder. I'm gonna incorporate it back into the wall eventually, but here's a good visual of what I have to work with. All right guys, so a bit of an overview on what exactly is or was my hand tool solution on the French cleat wall. Well, I got this idea, I believe, from Steve Ramsey years ago. If I didn't get it from Steve, if it was somebody else, forgive me, thank you, whoever you are. If it was Steve, thank you as well. So here's the deal. This is a series of plywood wedges that make different sized gaps. And they are put together into a base of plywood, and then a 1/4 inch piece is then holding everything together. So when you put something in there, it doesn't come out the front. But as you can see here, it doesn't make the best secure hold. And that's okay, because this thing has a certain trick up its sleeve. And what that is compression fitting. Meaning that when you put something in and you push it all the way to the back wall, it compresses itself in there to the point where it's not really going anywhere. Now, what's that have to do with anything? Well, the reason being, if you build these wedges out far enough, you can then add another screwdriver in front, and that is a pretty good storage solution. However, the idea of this just kind of made me compile too many things on here. I'm still going to use this. I'm going to incorporate it in the new French cleat wall, but I'm going to come up with a really easy solution to store most of your hand tools up on a wall and out of the way. So join me for that, and let's get back to it. All right guys, you probably guessed it. This project starting off with my ultimate building material, Baltic birch plywood. This project starts out with 3/4 of an inch material you saw me cut earlier, and now these 45-degree angle pieces are 1/2 inch as well. I'm gonna take a 6-inch piece of 1/2 inch and I'm gonna cut it into 1/2 inch strips. As you see there, edges can be a bit jagged coming right off the table saw, but that's okay. I like to soften them up by using a sanding block, just running the corners over them, making them nice and tactile to the touch. Now, I've said this before in my other French cleat videos that I like all the Baltic birch that I use to be soft to the touch, all edges broken, even if it's gonna go behind something on the wall. At least I know it's done that way, and it's just one of those little quirks that I like to do. So throughout this video, I'm not gonna be using any traditional wood glues. I'm gonna be using CA glue and activator from Starbond. I have a coupon code called GLIMPSE10. I'm gonna link their website down below. Use that coupon code at checkout and you'll get 10% off your order between now and the end of the year. Thank you, Starbond. Okay, I'm gonna ask you guys a question. Sometimes, at least in my experience, I wanna know if this happens to you. The most obvious solution is not the easiest one to come up with. And sometimes the easiest solution is not the most obvious. Now, in this case, it's definitely the easiest solution I've come up with, and it wasn't obvious until about, 15 minutes ago, and that's why I decided to build these. Now, these are gonna rest up on the French cleat wall, just like this. Let me show you. Okay, so that was completely gratuitous to show you how a French cleat thing goes up on a wall. I mean, you should know how this works by now, at least if you're a fan of this channel, because you see all this, guys? You see all that? That is all in the videos, and they're all linked below if you haven't seen them and you want to check them out. So check those out too. All right, so this solution, I'm telling you, I almost don't even want to make a video for this because it's so simple, and I feel like the comment section's gonna go, really, dude? That was it? But let me show you. Yeah. If you guessed it, it's a magnetic tool holder. I'm going to install them on these blocks. I've got 2 of them. We're gonna put them up we're gonna arrange the tools, and whatever doesn't fit after this, maybe more creative juices will start flowing. But maybe not, I don't know. This may hold everything, and if that's the case, then that's the case. Either way, watch how simple this is. Let's get to it. So yes, I know this is a very simple solution, but we'll see just how effective this is. I think it's gonna be one of those things that, why didn't I think of it sooner? But I'm using panhead screws to install these actual magnet strips to these blocks of wood. And real simply, I'm gonna put them up just like this. Now, if you don't hear anything in this video, hear this. Sometimes getting your workspace completely tailored to what you think is perfect for you is the most important thing, because if not, you're not gonna wanna come out here. You're not gonna wanna come out here as often as you should, and that's my recommendation to you. So don't be afraid to do something simple out here. And yeah, you can see that, I messed up. I'm so excited about these magnets that I messed up and I installed this piece the wrong way. So I've gotta take it out before the glue dries. I'm simply gonna use an angle grinder and chop off all those finish nails, a little sandpaper, and then we're gonna do this over again by putting this piece on the right side. And now it's gonna have the support it needs on the French cleat wall. And there you go. But back to what I was saying, guys, seriously, do whatever you can to make your space as inviting for you. It's a personal thing, and that's my recommendation going forward. So forgive me for not remaking some of these things. You can see these things look a little older, but I made them before I started filming on YouTube. And honestly, a picture or a video clip in this instance can be worth 1,000 words. You can kind of see here that these two pieces of ruler are actually tapered down from one end to the next to accommodate the thicknesses of those different ratchets. And I really like that solution for that very application. So I'm not just gonna leave you guys hanging just by putting magnets on the wall and calling it a day. That wouldn't be very fair to you. So I'm gonna show you right here. I've got all this space now to do activities in the shop. No, not at all. But I got my creative juices flowing with this, and it wouldn't be fair if I didn't make something and show you a different solution to maybe store something else. So I've got a ton of screwdrivers that are gonna go in their spot. And I've got a couple cool ones. This is a company called Anvil. I've only seen these at Home Depot, not even on Amazon. So if you're in your Home Depot and you wanna check this thing out, this is probably the best interchangeable screwdriver I've seen. It's got a multitude of tips. And on these long shafts, there's not just 5, there's 6, 7, 8, there's 10 of these things. And when you do interchange them, it's like a standard screwdriver, really comfortable, really nice. Again, not sponsored, I'm really fond of this thing. And it's gonna go up on the wall. Now, a couple more things. I've got micro screwdrivers as well. They need a spot to be organized in their space because these can get misplaced very easily. And your good old fashioned 8 to 10 count, run-of-the-mill Milwaukee screwdrivers. And yeah, so let's go ahead and build something. Put it on the wall, come up with a creative solution, and let's do that now. Okay, first I'm gonna come up with something to hold those little micro screwdrivers in place. And to do so, I'm using a thinner piece of wood. This is a 1/4 inch piece. And I'm taking a 5/8 inch brad point bit and I'm making some holes. You can see there's 6 of them there. And then I'm gonna open up those holes with a crosscut sled cut, and I didn't quite get all of it, so there I had to make 2 passes. At this point, I'm gonna go ahead and kind of put a nice soft edge on the front, and if I've done my math correctly, everything should just kind of fit in there with a compression fit, and yep, check that out. Those aren't going anywhere. But now we have to incorporate this onto the wall, so we're gonna take some of this 45-degree angled French cleat material as well. I'm basically gonna use the piece we just made as a reference. I'm gonna cut this in half to give me a little bit of a shallower cleat. Use another piece of 1/4 inch, and again, sanding. I know sanding isn't the most fun thing to do in the shop, but I like it because it makes things turn out just that much nicer. And simply gonna put it together with some CA glue and some activator, give it a nice push, and that's all the hold you need. We're gonna put this other 1/4 inch piece of plywood adjacent or 90 degrees to the cleat, with the cleat facing in towards itself. And that's a pretty simple construction. Once it's on the wall, hey, look at that. Pretty simple solution, but works for me, and now, you know, you can move this wherever you want. Now with that one complete, let's give you a quick maker board update. All right guys, as this project is coming to a close, I do want to introduce you to 2 other makers on this week's maker board. This is Fisher's Shop and Bruce Ulrich. Drew Fisher may have, I think, the best sense of humor in the maker community. You definitely got to check him out. His videos are fantastic, and yeah, definitely tell him who sent you. Also, Bruce, I don't know if there is a nicer man in this community other than Bruce Ulrich. You got to go check him out as well. I'm going to link both of their channels and both of their Instagram pages down below. And again, tell them who sent you guys. pay it forward. These guys are great. Go give them a follow. All right, so we got these creative juices flowing, and apparently, yeah, it went dry. So I'm going back to a magnet holder. Yeah, please forgive me, guys. But honestly, I was actually super surprised how functional that those other magnet tool holders were. So I had another one in the shop and I figured I would incorporate it. And honestly, sometimes it's the functionality that I'm after, not necessarily the aesthetics or the complexity of the build. And with this, I'm gonna show you how we put this together. So because these screwdrivers have thicker handles than average tools that are gonna go up here like this, I'm simply raising the actual magnet holder away from the piece by about 3/4 of an inch. As you can see, I've installed a strip of wood there that's gonna, again, raise that magnet holder away from the wall. And check this out, Armor tool coming through in the clutch. I painted this magnet holder red because I'm putting Milwaukee tools up, and Armor tool has red screws that match. Thank you, guys. All right, now back to the crosscut sled. We're gonna cut just a few little scraps here. And the reason being is I'm gonna make a simple 90-degree with, again, CA glue activator. And all this is gonna be, it's gonna be an area for an actual tool to rest, or multiple tools to rest. You'll see here very shortly what I'm talking about. I'm gonna essentially put all the Milwaukee screwdrivers on the left, and then after that, that anvil screwdriver I showed you earlier, that interchangeable, well, all those pieces need a home too. So all those pieces essentially are gonna rest on that little piece you saw me install. Now, all we gotta do is simply build the cleat and install it on the wall. Pretty simple application here, but I really like how this looks, and I really fell in love with the functionality of these magnets in this project. And honestly, guys, if you've probably got some of these lying around your shop, I encourage you to incorporate them in your daily workflow to make things just a bit more accessible for you, and I hope you enjoy this. All right, yeah, I admit it, guys, I did get a little bit happy with these magnets in this project, but you know what, they're so functional, and they're it's such a relief to get this done and out of the way and get this space a little bit better for me and how my workflow goes. It's really nice to get this finished. Guys, thank you so much for joining me for this project. I do want to hear in the comments below some of your ideas on how you organize various hand tools in your shop. Not necessarily like a hand plane, but something you might use every single time you come out here. Screwdrivers, you know, pliers, all that good stuff that you saw in this video as well. Thank you so much for joining me again. I'm going to invite you to subscribe if you're new here, and always, I want to hear from you in the comments. I love getting conversations started down there. And yes, I do reply to every comment that I see, unless I get flagged by YouTube. If it comes in, I reply to it and we have a nice conversation. Guys, thanks again. My name's Chris. This has been A Glimpse Inside, and I'll see you on that next project. Until then, take care.